Hey guys, how's it going? Just like you may have seen from my recent update video, today's going to be a drawing of Edward and Alphonse from Fullmetal Alchemist. So I'm going to start off by drawing this diagonal line. Basically, what that's going to do is going to give us the form of like the angle of the body, how that's going to go. But basically, yeah. So that's just there for that. I've decided to do this because I want to give a go at doing tutorials. Please bear with me, it's not going to be great at all in terms of that, but yeah, it's my first time, so yeah. So next I'm going to draw a line for the waist. This is going to show, like, this is going to be where like the belt is going to go and where his legs are going to start, of course. Generally what a waist is to most people, but that's just a straight line straight through, I'd say just under half of that diagonal line that we've just drawn. And then next I'm going to draw this line, which is going to be the shoulder line, so that we can get in where the arms are going to go in a bit, and somewhere for where the head is going to be as well. So apologies, sorry about that, I've got a cough. But yeah, those lines are there for that. And then next we're going to draw the head roughly around where this line is. But I've realised that I'm out of the camera frame, so I'm just going to zoom out now, and we'll get back to it. Yeah, so it wasn't really much of a zoom out, more so of a move up, given the fact that if I zoom out, then you're not really going to be able to see much at all. But basically, yeah, so we've drawn the shoulder line, we've drawn the waistline, you can't really see much at all at this point. But yeah, so we're just going to... Well, I was thinking of getting the head in. I'm not going to get the head in. Instead, I'm going to move on to the arm. So, getting the arm in first will help me find out where the head's going to go, pretty much. So, I mean, you're using that shoulder line. I'd say halfway across that shoulder line to the right. That doesn't really make much sense, but the right portion of that past the diagonal line, which is the entire frame, that's where you want to drop a diagonal line for the muscular part of it. Of the arm, the upper arm, and then you're just going to draw a straight line straight across for the forearm. So I mean, you're going to get this angle in where the hand is, where this glove is, and I'm just going to draw a circle, and this circle is just the shape of the hand. Generally, that's what I kind of do. I tend to do basic shapes instead of like doing, I don't know how to describe it. Not basic shapes. I mean, like I do, for example, lines for the arms, like a stick man, and then work around that and build up a figure. I don't know how other people do it, but that's probably the only way to do it. I don't know. But yeah, I'm just building on that circle now to get the correct shape of a glove, and I mean, this is just the cuff of the glove there. It's just a simple oval, really. And I mean, we'll put more detail into it later, but for now we're just getting the rough guidelines of it. That angle there, it's just a portion of the circle just cut off in that lower corner, and that's going to work as the side of the hand and the side of the little finger as well, as it like curves around. You just got to mirror that image and try and do like a parallel line to that on the other side for the other side of the hand, and then you just split that up into 4 to work as the fingers. Just got to get a bit more of an angle on this last finger, because it's like, that's just how it is. It's more of an angle, because like how it's going to be grabbing the cloth of the cape. But now from that, I can kind of get a gist of where the cape is going to go as it curves around his neck. And then now from that, from the 2 lines that I've got that are proportionate to the shoulder line, I can start to figure out where the head's going to go. But yeah, so I mean, generally I'm just working out the distance between each part. I mean, it's like 6.9 between the shoulder line and the waistline, and about 3 from the waistline to the bottom of to the bottom of the camera screen. So you can't really see much there. But yeah, generally you're just working out that kind of measurement so that I get a rough estimate on how big the head's got to be, really. I mean, as the cape is curving around his neck, his head's got to be slightly lower, because if I made it too high, then like his neck wouldn't be in the right place. But to start off the head, I'm just drawing a circle. It's just right on the like that line for the what's it called, the angle of the body that's passing through about halfway through the head, so it's just falling right there. So yeah, I'm just drawing a circle for the head, and then I'm going to build off an angle for that, for the chin, in one moment. But first, you might want to know what the dimensions of this circle is. I'm just going to flip my ruler everywhere, but it's about 3.5. It's actually 3.5 in diameter on either side, so that fell quite nicely. So you're looking at a 3.5 centimeters circle. But now that we've got the circle in place, you can start to draw the angle for the chin. And I mean, that is very that's quite the angle that I drew first. But yeah, I'm just drawing these for the sides of the face, so that I get the cheeks in first, because you just want to build off of that circle and then start to get the chin part in. So I'm just going to get these lines down here, both at a similar angle, basically just working as parallels to one another. And then of course you've got to leave that gap so that you can fill it in with the chin, which is just going to be a straight line across. And yeah, so I'm just building a bit more on that now, making the lines a bit thicker so that you can kind of see that, because of course you can't really see the lines that I put in the first place, like the shoulder, waist, and angle of the body, that line there. But I mean, later on we're just going to get the hair in, so that side of the face, it isn't really a big deal. It doesn't really matter about getting that completely correct, given the fact that the hair is going to be covering up most of it. But now I can start to draw where the cape is going to be curving around the neck. So that's that curve there. It's just rough lines really to start off with, and like I said, I don't really need to think too much about the shoulder line on the other side due to the hair. But so I can just start working on this side with the thumb on the glove. Apologies for my really wobbly voice. I am like on the cusp of coughing now, and I'm really trying to hold it back, because I don't want to deafen all of you guys. But yeah, so I mean, these parts, these lines that I'm drawing in now, God, I really need to cough. But this is just where the sleeve of the coat, jacket, cape part is going to go, and like I was speaking about earlier, just building off of that stick, that first line, the stick figure line, working with that angle. This is the side of the cape that's actually swooping past and covering up most of his face. I mean, the cape and the hair is going to really cover up that side of the face, so it's not as important at getting that part of the chin in. But yeah, so I'm just working on that sleeve now, trying to get the correct angle. There's going to be some wrinkles and folds and that kind of stuff, so just got to build on that, get the correct shape, and just work around that initial guideline. So this is where the elbow is, and it's going to obviously be more of a triangular shape. Apologies that I'm not really demonstrating this with basic guidelines, like basic shapes and stuff. I will try to get on that with my next videos, like make it a lot more easier to follow, because at the moment it's just like, draw this line. This line's good. Just copy me exactly, which isn't really the best advice ever. But yeah, I'm just building on those lines now. The original lines that I've put down just as a bit of basic stuff first, and then you've got to get the curls in of the wrinkles and the folds, those kind of stuff. Really pay attention to the cloth, how it's like, how the creases like are proportionate to the folds in cloth. Clothing is very important. You don't want to put too many wrinkles down, otherwise it's just going to look fake. But if you don't include any, then it's looking like a really tight piece of cloth. But now I'm just trying to get the bit of the torso in, really. I mean, there's his back. They're not accurate lines as of yet, but I mean, that's where comes out a bit more for the waist, how it's going to fold into his trousers later on. So that's the chip. I'm just writing down chip for that. It's a chip in his waist. And I'm going to rub that out because that's just stupid. But yeah. Yeah, basically that's just where his the side of his waist is going to go. But yeah, I mean, you just got to really pay attention to that angle. So I mean, instead of the chest, the torso being at a like a straight down line, it's actually a lot more of an angle. If you look at it, those two lines, the front of the torso and the back, are proportionate to the center line that I drew earlier. Basically, just split it in half. Like get an equal distance from both lines on both sides, really, and yeah, you just want to build on that torso. So you got abs and stuff, the rib cage, and that's where it's going to fold into the trousers as well, just like on the other side that I've drawn there. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the rest of the cape done. And I've actually put that line in the wrong place, so I'm going to draw the torso again as well, but I'll get that done now in time lapse. Yeah, so basically what I did is just carried on the cape, got the torso in, added some more details for the abs and such, belly button and that, and finished off his glove as well. Well, added more details. So now I'm going to add the basic shape for his metallic arm, his automail. And I mean, I'm just going off that shoulder line again, making that straight line, and now adding the bit that's actually around his lower arm, his elbow, his yeah, that kind of like plate. That's I don't know. It looks like a grate. It's got those inserts, those yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but I'm just drawing that anyway. Most of the, well, all of the upper arm of the automail is actually going to be covered by his cape, so it's generally just the lower arm that you actually see. The flaps that are kind of like shields, they look like them anyway, just to cover up the insides, the circuitry and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm adding those the more detail, the roonies to that part, and it's just building around that original line that I drew, really, for the shape of the arm. And then that's the grill that I rubbed out just because I put it way too big, because I forgot about the shield parts that are at the top, the flaps. I'm going to call them flaps because they're not shields, they don't actually do anything, they're just flaps that cover up the insides, I guess. They kind of look like armour plates, that kind of stuff that you'd have around your arms in medieval times, but it's obviously much more futuristic than that. But yeah. So adding on this plate shape again, just getting the real curvature of that, and of course it's just, I'm out of the frame again, but I'm just going to finish this hand bit anyway because it's literally just a hand. You saw me draw the other hand. It's just, you just draw a circle and build off of that, build the shape of it, build where the fingers and knuckles are going to go, because this one is a lot more distinct in terms of knuckles, given that it's a metallic hand, and the angle of it as well, given that you can see the back of the hand a lot more. But I mean, you can see the knuckles on the other one. I'll draw those in later though. But I mean, there's also just another circle right up by that grill platelet that works as, like, that's a bolt which actually holds it all together, I believe. But basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just finish off the cape, get all the final details in for the cape, that is, and yeah, I'll come back and discuss that in a bit. So I'm just going to finish off the cape in time lapse, get his belt in, that kind of stuff, and I will be back in just a moment. Right, so as I'm sure you can see, basically I've added in the cape shape. That's just really about getting the right shape, to be honest. I mean, with this side you can get a basic line in, really, which I should have kind of drawn in so that you could get a basic understanding of that side, because I really just did all of that without anyone being able to see, so that's not helpful. Apologies for that. But generally it's just that line, that arc line that you draw in, and I mean, if I'd drawn that in with a straight line as well, for the top of the cape, you probably wouldn't be able to see how it's done, really, how I did it anyway. But yeah, I mean, these lines generally just hit off of that line at the bottom of the cape. But it's just really about getting the right shape with the cape. Cape. You can see that I added the details to the metallic automail arm as well. So yeah, I've got the indents of there, and like the shape of the hand as well, which you couldn't see on screen. Apologies for that. But basically what I just did, I added the lines to the trousers as well, the legs, which again was just a straight line. You really didn't need to see that, because that's just like you just getting this basic guideline of the legs and just building around that again to the angle of that first line that we drew before. But so I added all the wrinkles into the cape, and that's pretty much it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to zoom in on the face, and then we can get some of the facial features done. So I'm going to zoom in now. Yeah, so now that we've moved up to the face region, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my trusty ruler, my very awesome shatter-resistant ruler, and I'm just going to draw a central line right across here. It's just a straight line, simple as, nothing more simple than just drawing a straight line, apart from that one's at slightly an angle. But yeah, you get the idea. Basically, that line is just to be where the top of the eyes are going to go, the eyelid, if you will. And I'm just going to drop another line so that I can work out where the bottom of the eyes are going to go. So just drop that in there, and actually I'm going to make that a bit more visible because it is quite hard to see. That's not much better. But yeah, just divide the face, get the right measurement for it so that like I know exactly where the eyes can go. But yeah, it's generally just about getting those eyes in the those lines in the right place. I mean, you can see that the top line is actually in line with the top of that cape. So yeah, that's quite a bit of help. But yeah, you just gotta getting the angle of the eyebrow in now. He's quite pissed off in this pose, so his eyebrow is going to be pretty big. I'm just going to split that head in half now. Disgusting. Very sick of me. But yeah, I'm just so then that way I can figure out where the edge of the eyebrow is going to end up. Because, like I say, he's that furious that his eyebrows must be almighty eyebrows. But from that line, I mean, that's pretty much just going to be the shape of his eye. But you just need to build off the angle, like the edge of it now, and the bottom as well. So I mean, you don't really need to worry about it too much because he's that angry. Like, you don't need to worry about getting the top of the eye in much. The bottom of the eye, just a simple curve resting on that line that I drew in. The bottom line. And I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it, really. I'm just I'm going to extend that line a bit because it was quite small, not quite the angle that I wanted, and that's just like the curve where his tear ducts are going to be. Really, just going to rub out that bottom line because it doesn't quite match up to the edges of the top one. But just pay attention to the distance between the eye and the edge of the head, because you don't want to get it too close or too far away. It's got to be like pretty good in measurement. But I'm just gonna, I mean, now that I've got that eye in, I can use that to get the right shape for the other eye, really. But I mean, that one's looking pretty good now. So what I'm going to do now is by using those lines that I drew in for the first eye and using the original just top bottom lines as well, I can use those and get the other eye drawn in. So I mean, you really don't need to see that, so I can just get that eye done in time lapse, and I'll come back to draw the nose and the mouth. So yeah, as you can see, I got the other eye drawn in time lapse. So now I'm just going to add the nose. Generally, it's just going to fall just next to that central line. That's where the shadow of the nose is going to be, really. So the tip of the nose is just really past it. So I mean, that's not really right. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, I used the first eye to use a mirror, and I mean, it is looking quite large, so I might need to adjust that in a bit, because it does look a bit larger. So it's probably a good job you didn't see that, because it was clearly done wrong. But just getting the angle of that chin right. He's got a sharp chin. Before I get the nose in, I guess. Oh, to do the mouth. Like I say, he's angry, so it's just like a straight line, and no, the corner of the mouth isn't lifting at all because he's that angry. So it's just drooping, really. He's got a frown instead. But once you draw the irises in, then you will be able to see that he's actually angry, not upset, because he does look a bit upset there, because of the mouth. But yeah, so I mean, the nose is literally just falling right next to that central line. Just adding the shadow there, really. And I mean, there's his nostril, and that's pretty much as simple as it comes. Really didn't need to show drawing the nose, I guess, but that's how it is. So just darkening some of these lines up. Hopefully you can see those. But I mean, next thing, I'm gonna start getting the hair in a bit, so I may as well just make sure that the face is all finished off. It's looking pretty good to me, I guess. So just his face needs to be a bit more curvy, because I don't think his chin is the jaw of his chin needs to be so square, given the fact that he's still kind of a child, so it does need to be a bit more curvier. So I mean, just cut off the top of that circle now to find out where his hair is sprouting from, as it parts in the middle. So I can turn that into a bit of a triangle, and then just make this cusp off of that center point, and it's just kind of covering up the corner of his eye, really, this strand. And I mean, just from getting this strand, it is starting to look a bit more like him. Yes, I mean, the hair is important to make someone look like a noticeable character. So getting that in does make it a bit more like Edward. And I mean, I could just build off of that now and get the other strand in and start to get those in. So what I'm going to do is, in time lapse again, apologies for all the time lapse, but I'm just going to get the hair in and come back to do his braid. Yeah, so now I can start adding the braid of the hair. So I mean, you can see that I've already kind of got a basic like waviness to it, but it's just like, again, just like how I got the stick figure in, just get a basic shape of that and build off it. It kind of looks a bit like an upside down love heart, really. That's how I think of it. So that's the tip of it, and then just coming down again, following that wavy line that I originally drew in. It was just a wavy line. It's not one that needs to be copied or anything. Whichever direction that you want the braid to go in, follow that one. Follow your heart. Upside down love heart, that is. But yeah, so I mean, there's the crease of his hood. Just get that back in because I rubbed that out earlier, as I was trying to figure out where the ponytail would go. But yeah, so I mean, you got these upside down love heart braid things, and I mean, this bottom one is going to be coming to more of a point, because that's where it's going to get tied up. So I think it needs to be a bit more in towards the hair. So I mean, you can see that I've just adjusted that slightly. and then you've got the other braids parting off from that end up curving inwards, and generally you can get that triangle in there. That's in the love heart braid section with his strand of hair, and if you get that triangle in, then that's kind of like the shape of where the bit where the hair like sprouts off from the hairband, which I've just drawn in that little rectangle thing. That's a hairband. So yeah, I mean, you just get that kind of shape in the basic shape for the hair that's sprouting off. So I can start like dividing that into sections in a bit for the bits of hair, but just finishing off this braid is probably the best idea for now. But yeah, it's kind of divided it into like 3 segments really. The top one being that heart that you can clearly see more now as I've added that line. And then with each wave, I'd say that's like another section of it. So I mean, I'm just rubbing out that original line that I drew in, but I'm going to need to make it a bit more curvier because like hair isn't sharp. So I'll just rub that out. And yeah, make it a bit smaller really, because it's a braid. It's not an alternative weapon. It doesn't need to be mahoosive. So I'm just going to make that a bit more diamondy really, where it's really like tightened and tucked in. So there's that bit curving around as well. I mean, quite a bit of it is obscured by the fact that this is the front of his head, so you're not going to see the bit where it actually bunches up on the back. But oh god, I'm tired. Ugh. Yeah, so it's just curving around the back there, and that's all you get to see really of the bit where it actually tightens up to his hair. But the hair, the rest of the hair is just however you want it really. I mean, as long as you get that V shape in and get some of the hair like curving in front of his face, and get that like seagull kind of shape as well for the top of his hair, like when you draw birds when you're younger, and you do that kind of M for like a bird flying in the sky. As long as you get that for the top of his head, then you should be okay. The signature parts really that you need to get in is the braid, which I'm doing now, so that like you can get kind of understanding of like how that's kind of done. And I mean, that looks a bit more like the hair's bunching up now, so it's looking a bit better than it was when it was just the standard line, so that's good. And also his spoinky bit of hair that's always unruly, so I'll get that in a bit. I mean, you can see that I've drawn a basic line for it. I mean, that again, that's not really something that you need to see. It's just a single strand of hair, so it's not rocket science to get that in. So yeah, I mean, I'm making this into separating this, sorry, not making it, separating it into its other strands of hair, because it does divide into segments really. So I can do that now. I hate this cough so much. Ugh. I'm really trying not to cough down this mic because it's not going to be nice when it happens. I think it's gone. Yeah, so you just get the strands in and stuff, separate that, make the dark parts darker. I mean, obviously you'll see that more when we come to colouring it in, but for now I'm just shading it, and that shading is not going to be seen because once I ink it all, it's going to get rubbed out anyway. But yeah, so get the strands in, make that more curvy. Oh, my cough's back. Ugh. Yeah, that shape doesn't look quite right, so we're just going to rub that out and do it again. But yeah, pretty much just getting the shapes and stuff, just trial and error. We'll get there eventually. Try not to press down too hard like I am, because trial and error is always good, but if you press down much too hard, your lines that you drew before are going to be visible, and your perfect result in the end through that trial and error is going to be a bit worse off due to seeing those crappy lines that you drew before. Just trying to get this bunch of hair right, because it's not really looking great at the moment. It might be that bobble, that hair band that I've drawn. I'll have to take a closer look in a bit. But yeah, I mean, I'll have a look at that in a bit, but for now, the top of the head, generally just like curve it around a bit, because you can kind of see the back of his hair as well. That's behind his two front sections that are curving in front of his face. But you just want to get the curve of the head, and then start to like build up kind of zigzags, like I'm doing now, like a bit of bunches of hair that are like being pulled back for that braid. So yeah, that's where they're going. So basically it's just like bumps in his hair that you're just drawing in, and then you can get them down the back of his hair as well, and just draw these, get the strands in as well. If you get the strands in, it might build on those bumps and make it look more like hair, like so. So that's a bit better, like that. Although I may have added too many. Yeah. Moderation, really. So I just get his little spiky bit of hair in again, because that was in the fray when I was rubbing out. But yeah, I mean, that's really it for the hair, to be honest. What I'm going to do now is have a look at the hair again, and then come back and get the irises in place, so that his eyes look a bit more human, because he looks like a monster now. So I'm going to get that done, and just come back in a bit. And we can just get that highlight in, that little bubble. Make it a bit bigger actually, because it needs to meet with his pupil, and that pupil still needs to be in the middle of the eye, so that is going to need to be a big highlight. So we're just making it a bit bigger there, and more noticeable as well. And the edge of the eyes is quite thick as well on Edward. So we just make that a bit more thicker, and build up the edge where that curves out for his eyelid, and then we can start getting his pupil in, so that he doesn't look like a really cutesy character with no pupil. Make that eyeline really quite thick there. So I'm just going to do that, and work on that curve of the eyelid, because that does need to be there. The bottom of his eye actually needs to be a tiny bit smaller, I think. It needs to curve up a bit more to that point. And yeah, so we can start to shade that pupil in to make it a bit more natural looking. But I mean, that's really it for that eye. I'm going to just make this a bit smaller again. It doesn't quite look right, but we can just do that. And now I'm just going to get the other iris in place on the other sides, so I'm just going to go ahead and get the rest of the drawing finished in time lapse. yeah, I mean that should just about do it. I mean, as you can see, I added more details onto that arm again, finished off all the wrinkles, really went around that cape one more time in with darker lines so you can get the outline of it more. The belt, I've got that done in now, and I mean you can see that I did the iris as well from earlier. But that should just about wrap it up for this part. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. This is my drawing of Edward Elric at the moment, but I will be sure to add Alphonse in the next part, somewhere around here, up here. I'll just get Alphonse placed there, and then so that'll be for part 2. Part 3 we'll be moving on to the inking and colouring. So yeah, I mean next time I will try to get a better understanding of the shapes and stuff, make it a bit more of a better tutorial. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I guess I'll see you in part 2. Thanks for watching, guys.